The art of speaking less and saying more. Have you ever noticed that some people barely speak, yet everyone listens when they do? They don't dominate conversations. They don't interrupt. They don't feel the need to have an opinion on everything. But somehow, their words carry weight. Now compare that to someone who talks constantly. They explain every thought, fill every silence, interrupt before others finish speaking. At first, they may seem confident, but over time, people begin tuning them out. Why? Because communication isn't measured by how many words you use. It's measured by the value those words provide. One thoughtful sentence can leave a stronger impression than 10 minutes of unnecessary talking. The interesting part is this. The people with the strongest presence are often not the loudest people in the room. They're the ones who understand the art of speaking less and saying more. Today, we'll explore the psychology behind powerful communication, why silence can be a strength, why listening creates influence, and how choosing your words carefully can change the way people see you. Let's begin. Number 1. Silence makes your words more valuable. Think about your favorite teacher, leader, or mentor. Did they speak every second? Probably not. They often paused, thought carefully, then spoke with purpose. Those pauses weren't empty. They gave people time to think. Imagine someone who comments on everything, every conversation, every topic, every opinion. Eventually, people stop paying attention. Now imagine someone who speaks only when they have something meaningful to add. The room naturally becomes quieter. People listen because they've learned something important. When this person speaks, it matters. This is one reason silence increases the value of your words. Scarcity creates attention. Constant talking often does the opposite. Number 2. Listening is more powerful than most people realize. Most people don't actually listen. They're simply waiting for their turn to talk. While someone else is speaking, they're already planning their response, thinking about their next story, or preparing a counterargument. Real listening is different. It requires patience, curiosity, and humility. When you genuinely listen, people notice. They feel respected, understood, important. Ironically, the best conversationalists are often the best listeners, because people enjoy talking to those who make them feel heard. Listening also gives you something incredibly valuable: information. The more you understand others, the better your own responses become. Number 3. Pausing before you speak changes everything. Have you ever answered a question too quickly, only to realize later there was a better answer? That happens because speed isn't always wisdom. Emotion often speaks faster than reason. Powerful communicators understand this. Instead of reacting immediately, they pause, even for just a second. That small pause creates several advantages. It gives your mind time to organize your thoughts. It reduces emotional reactions, and it communicates confidence. Many people rush because they're uncomfortable with silence. Confident people don't fear silence. They use it. A thoughtful pause often makes your next sentence stronger, not weaker. Number 4. Say what you mean. One reason communication becomes confusing is because people often hide behind unnecessary words. Instead of saying, "I disagree," they spend 5 minutes trying to soften the message. Instead of saying, "I can't make it," they create a long explanation. Clear communication isn't rude. It's respectful. Imagine asking someone a simple question. Instead of giving a direct answer, they avoid the point. Eventually, you become frustrated. Now imagine someone who answers honestly, kindly, and clearly. There's no confusion, no guessing, no mixed signals. People appreciate clarity because it saves time and builds trust. Speaking less often forces you to remove unnecessary words, and what's left is usually much more powerful. So far, we've explored why silence increases the value of your words, why listening creates influence, why pausing improves communication, and why clarity is more powerful than endless explanations. But the next lessons reveal something even more important. Because the strongest communicators don't simply know how to speak. They know when to speak, what to ignore, and how to leave a lasting impression with just a few well-chosen words. Number 5. Not every thought needs to be spoken. One of the biggest signs of emotional maturity is knowing that you don't have to say everything that comes to mind. Many people believe honesty means saying exactly what they're thinking at every moment. But honesty and impulsiveness are not the same thing. Imagine someone who comments on every mistake, corrects every opinion, points out every flaw. Technically, they may be telling the truth. But over time, people stop enjoying conversations with them. Now imagine someone who asks themselves one simple question before speaking. Will what I'm saying is helpful? If the answer is yes, they speak. If not, they let it go. That's not being fake. That's being wise. Powerful communicators understand that words have consequences. Once they're spoken, you can't take them back. Choosing not to speak isn't weakness. Sometimes it's one of the strongest choices you can make. Number 6, ask better questions. Most people think great conversations come from having great stories. In reality, they often come from asking great questions. Think about someone who only talks about themselves. Every conversation somehow returns to their own experiences, their own opinions, their own achievements. At first, they may seem interesting, but eventually, the conversation becomes one-sided. Now imagine someone who asks thoughtful questions. What inspired you to do that? What was the hardest part? What did you learn from that experience? Questions like these do something powerful. They invite people to open up. They create meaningful conversations instead of surface-level small talk. People often remember the person who showed genuine interest in them, more than the person who tried hardest to impress them. Number 7, your tone matters as much as your words. Imagine hearing the exact same sentence from two different people. The words are identical, but one person sounds calm, respectful, patient. The other sounds sarcastic, angry, dismissive. The meaning feels completely different. That's because communication isn't just about words. It's also about how those words are delivered. A calm voice communicates confidence. A respectful tone encourages people to listen. A controlled voice can prevent small disagreements from becoming major conflicts. Many people spend years improving what they say. Very few spend time improving how they say it. Yet the second skill is often just as important. Number 8, confident people don't feel the need to win every argument. One of the fastest ways to lose influence is trying to win every conversation. Imagine two people discussing a topic. One listens, shares their perspective, respects the other person's opinion. The second interrupts, argues over every detail, refuses to admit even the smallest mistake. Which person leaves a stronger impression? Usually the first. Why? Because confidence doesn't need constant validation. Emotionally secure people understand that disagreement isn't defeat. Sometimes the smartest response is simply saying, "I see your point," or "We don't have to agree on everything." Those simple words demonstrate maturity, because the goal of every conversation shouldn't be to prove you're right. Sometimes the goal is simply to understand each other better. A powerful communication habit. Here's something worth remembering. Every conversation leaves people with a feeling. Long after they forget your exact words, they remember how you made them feel. Did they feel heard, respected, judged, ignored, inspired? That's why speaking less often creates more impact. When you're not constantly thinking about your next sentence, you become fully present. And presence is one of the rarest qualities in modern communication. We've now explored why not every thought needs to be spoken, why questions create better conversations, why tone shapes meaning, and why confident people don't fight every verbal battle. But the final lessons may be the most valuable of all, because they explain why quiet confidence is so powerful, why simplicity makes communication unforgettable, and how saying less can dramatically increase your influence. Number 9. Quiet confidence speaks for itself. Have you ever met someone who never had to tell people they were confident? They never announced how successful they were. They never tried to prove how intelligent they were. Yet people naturally respected them. Why? Because confidence is usually demonstrated through behavior, not declarations. Insecure people often feel the need to convince others of their value. Confident people let their actions do the talking. Think about it. The strongest tree doesn't make noise while it grows. The deepest river doesn't announce its depth. In the same way, truly confident people don't feel the need to dominate every conversation. They understand that silence doesn't make them invisible. It often makes them more noticeable. People become curious. They pay closer attention. And when these individuals finally speak, others naturally listen. That's the power of quiet confidence. Number 10. Simple words have the greatest impact. Many people believe sounding intelligent means using complicated words, long explanations, complex ideas. But the best communicators often do the opposite. They make difficult ideas simple. Think about your favorite teacher. They probably explained complicated topics in a way anyone could understand. That wasn't because they knew less. It was because they understood the subject deeply. The same principle applies to everyday conversations. Instead of trying to sound impressive, focus on being clear. Instead of speaking longer, speak better. People remember simple ideas because they're easy to understand and easy to remember. Clarity is far more powerful than complexity. Number 11. Learn to be comfortable with silence. Silence makes many people uncomfortable. The moment a conversation pauses, someone rushes to fill the gap. But silence isn't your enemy. Sometimes it's where the most meaningful moments happen. Imagine asking someone an important question. Instead of immediately speaking again, you wait. That small pause gives them time to think. It shows that you're genuinely interested in their answer. Silence also communicates confidence. It tells people you don't feel pressured to perform every second. Some of the strongest negotiators, leaders, and communicators understand this well. They aren't afraid of quiet moments. They know silence often encourages deeper conversations than constant talking ever could. Number 12. Speak with purpose. Before speaking, ask yourself 3 simple questions. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it necessary? Those 3 questions can completely change the way you communicate. Not every opinion needs to be shared. Not every disagreement needs to become an argument. Not every conversation needs another sentence. When your words have purpose, people begin paying more attention because they know you're not speaking just to fill space. You're speaking because you have something worth saying. And that's what gives words their power. Why this skill changes your life. Learning to speak less isn't about becoming quiet. It's about becoming intentional. It changes the way people experience you. Instead of appearing impulsive, you appear thoughtful. Instead of seeming desperate for attention, you appear confident. Instead of overwhelming conversations, you improve them. Over time, people begin seeking your opinion, not because you talk the most, but because your words consistently add value. That's influence. And influence is earned, one conversation at a time. If there's one lesson I hope you remember from this video, it's this. Your value isn't measured by how much you speak. It's measured by the quality of what you say. The people who leave the strongest impression are rarely the ones who dominate every conversation. They're the ones who listen carefully, think deeply, and speak with intention. So the next time you're in a conversation, resist the urge to fill every silence. Listen a little longer. Think a little deeper. Choose your words a little more carefully. You may be surprised by what happens. People will interrupt you less. They'll pay closer attention. They'll remember your words. Not because you spoke louder than everyone else, but because every sentence had meaning. In a world where everyone is trying to be heard, the person who learns to listen often becomes the one people respect the most. Because speaking less isn't about having less to say. It's about making every word count. And when your words consistently carry purpose, you don't need to speak often to leave a lasting impression. Sometimes, the most powerful voice in the room is the one that knows exactly when to speak. Click the subscribe button, like, share, and follow for more.